Welcome to the Healthy Lifestyle Podcast, brought to you by Telehealth FX, your source for online GLP-1 weight loss and testosterone replacement therapy services. Visit telehealthfx.com to get medically guided access to weight loss peptides like semaglutide and tirzepatide delivered right to your home. That's telehealthfx.com. Now, here's your hosts.
Okay, quick question before we even say hello properly. How many hours did you sleep last night?
Do we have to start with the thing I'm most defensive about? Fine. 6. Maybe 6.5 if you count me scrolling my phone in bed as resting.
That's basically everyone. And here's the thing. If you've been white-knuckling a diet plan, hitting the gym, tracking every macro, and the scales still won't budge, sleep might be the missing variable you haven't even considered.
Right, because we treat sleep like it's just downtime, something you do so you're not tired the next day, not something that actually affects whether your body holds on to weight or lets it go.
Exactly. So today we're talking about the sleep-weight loss connection, what the research actually shows, why it's more complicated than just sleep more, and what you can realistically do about it if you're a busy parent, a shift worker, or someone whose brain simply will not shut off at 11 p.m.
I'm very excited and also slightly nervous because I have a feeling this episode is going to call me out.
Let's get into it. So let's start with why this even matters right now. Sleep has kind of become the third pillar people talk about after diet and exercise, but for a long time it got treated as an afterthought.
And there's a real reason researchers have been paying more attention to it. Weight loss programs work really hard on the food and movement side, but people still plateau or drop out, and nobody could fully explain why.
Which is where sleep research comes in. There's a study, a 2025 secondary analysis out of a Spanish behavioral weight loss program, sometimes called the On Time study, that followed adults through a 25-week structured program with nutrition coaching and activity goals.
And what they find?
They grouped people by how much they normally sleep. Short sleepers getting under 7 hours, a recommended group at 7 to 8, and long sleepers getting more than 8. The people who habitually slept longer than 8 hours actually had a harder time losing weight and were more likely to drop out of the program entirely.
Wait, hold on. Long sleepers did worse? I think most people assume more sleep is always better, full stop.
That's exactly the myth we're going to bust today. It's not a straight line where more sleep equals more weight loss. It's more of a sweet spot.
Okay, so what about the short sleep side? Because I feel like that's the one most of us actually struggle with.
There's a separate study published in the journal Behavioral Sleep Medicine that tracked people through a full year of a weight loss program. People who started out as short sleepers, under 6 hours a night, ended up losing about 4.5 percentage points less body weight by the 12-month mark compared to people sleeping a normal amount.
That's not a small gap.
No, and it wasn't just duration. Poor sleep quality on its own predicted worse outcomes too, even for people getting enough hours. So it's not only how long, it's also how well.
Okay, so real talk. For someone listening who's like, great, another thing I'm failing at, what's actually happening in the body? Because I think a lot of us assume this is just about willpower. Like if you slept badly, you're just tired, so you make worse choices.
That's part of it, but there's also real biology at play. 2 hormones do a lot of the heavy lifting here. Ghrelin, which basically tells your brain, I'm hungry, and leptin, which tells your brain, I'm full, you can stop eating now. When you're sleep deprived, ghrelin tends to rise and leptin tends to drop, so you're not imagining it. Underslept, your body is quite literally sending you stronger hunger signals and weaker fullness signals.
So it's not a discipline problem, it's a hormone messaging problem.
Right. And there's a third piece. Cortisol, your stress hormone, tends to run higher when you're sleep deprived, which for a lot of people is tied to cravings for quick energy, high sugar, high-fat foods. Add in that being tired reduces your capacity for the kind of slower, deliberate decision-making that helps you say, actually, I'll skip the drive-thru. And you've got a body and brain working against your goals, not because you're weak-willed, but because the internal chemistry shifted.
Okay, I feel personally vindicated and also mildly concerned.
Stay with us. There's a large Japanese study, too, over 62,000 adults, that found short sleep duration was a significant risk factor for obesity, even outside of a formal weight loss program. So this isn't just a diet program finding. It shows up in general population data too.
All right, let's get into the myths, because I think this is where people get tripped up the most.
Myth number 1, the one we already touched on, more sleep is always better for weight loss. Based on that on-time research, that's not quite right. Habitually sleeping more than 8 hours was tied to worse outcomes.
Today's episode is brought to you by Telehealth FX, your source for online GLP-1 weight loss and testosterone replacement therapy services. Visit telehealthfx.com to get medically guided access to weight loss peptides like semaglutide and tirzepatide delivered right to your home. That's telehealthfx.com. Now back to the show.
Not better ones.
Now, important nuance here. That doesn't mean sleeping 8.5 hours is bad for you personally, or that long sleep causes weight gain directly. Researchers can't fully untangle why that link showed up. It could be that long sleep is sometimes a sign of something else going on, like depression, chronic fatigue, or an undiagnosed sleep disorder, rather than the long sleep itself being the problem.
Exactly. Correlation, not necessarily causation. And that's worth sitting with rather than panicking over.
Myth number 2. I'll just catch up on sleep this weekend. A lot of us run a sleep deficit all week and think we can pay it back in one long Saturday lie-in.
The honest answer is the science on weekend catch-up sleep is still evolving, and it's genuinely mixed. Some research suggests it can partially offset some effects, but it doesn't appear to fully undo a week of short sleep, especially for the hunger hormone piece. So it's not a reliable strategy to bank on.
Myth number 3, and this one's sneaky. Sleep doesn't matter as much as diet and exercise, so I'll prioritize workouts over sleep, like waking up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym even though you were up late.
And look, movement matters. We're not knocking that. But if cutting sleep short to squeeze in a workout is tanking your hunger hormones and your decision-making all day, you might be working against yourself. It's not either or. It's recognizing sleep as one of the pillars, not a nice-to-have you sacrifice first.
So let's make this practical. If someone's listening and thinking, okay, I clearly need to take this more seriously, where do they start?
First, aim for that 7 to 9 hour range most sleep and health organizations recommend for adults, not as a rigid rule, but as a general target. Consistency matters as much as the number. Going to bed and waking up around the same time every day, weekends included, helps regulate your body's internal clock.
What about people who genuinely can't control their schedule? Shift workers, new parents, someone with a newborn who hasn't slept 8 consecutive hours in months.
Totally fair, and that's important to say clearly. This episode is not about guilt-tripping anyone into an impossible standard. If full nights aren't available to you right now, focus on what you can control, protecting sleep quality during the hours you do get. That might mean a consistent wind-down routine, a dark and cool room, and cutting caffeine in the afternoon so what sleep you get is deeper.
What's a realistic wind-down routine actually look like? Because just relax before bed is not helpful advice.
Something concrete. Dim the lights about an hour before bed. Put screens away or at least turn on night mode, and pick one calming, repeatable activity, whether that's reading, stretching, or journaling. Getting morning sunlight exposure early in the day also helps set your circadian rhythm, which makes falling asleep at night easier.
Okay, so what about people who lie awake stressed about not sleeping, which honestly makes it worse?
That's incredibly common. If that's a regular pattern for you, that's worth bringing up with your doctor rather than white-knuckling it alone. There are real, effective treatments, including behavioral approaches, that go beyond just try harder to relax.
Let's talk common mistakes, because I think even people who know sleep matters get this wrong.
Mistake 1, treating sleep as the last priority instead of the first. It's usually the first thing to get cut when life gets busy.
Mistake 2, oversleeping on weekends and assuming it cancels out a rough week, when consistency is actually what your body responds to best.
Mistake 3, using late-night relaxing screen time as a substitute for actual rest. Scrolling for an hour doesn't recover the same way sleep does, even though it feels restful in the moment.
And mistake 4, which we want to be really clear about, assuming sleep alone will fix weight loss. It's a genuine contributing factor backed by real research, but it's one piece alongside nutrition, movement, and stress management, not a replacement for any of them.
Now, a quick note before we wrap. This episode is educational, not medical advice. Sleep disorders like insomnia or sleep apnea are real medical conditions. And if you suspect you have one, or if you're making major changes to your diet, exercise routine, or medications, please loop in your doctor. They can look at your full picture in a way we can't from a podcast.
Totally agree. And also, what works for one person's sleep and body might not work for another. If you're already sleeping 9 hours and feeling great, this isn't a signal to force yourself down to 7. Listen to what your body and your doctor tell you.
All right, let's wrap up with our 3 key takeaways. Number 1, sleep isn't just recovery time. It directly affects the hunger and fullness hormones that drive how much and what you eat. Number 2, more sleep isn't automatically better. Research points to a sweet spot around 7 to 9 hours, with both too little and too much linked to worse outcomes in some studies. Number 3, sleep quality matters as much as sleep quantity, so consistency and a good wind-down routine can matter more than just adding hours.
And your one action step for this week: pick a consistent bedtime you can actually stick to, even on weekends, and give yourself a 30-minute wind down before it. Screens away, lights low. Just try it for a week and notice how you feel.
If this episode hit home, share it with someone who's been grinding on diet and exercise but ignoring their sleep. They need to hear this. And if you've got a sleep habit that's worked for you or a myth you want us to bust, come tell us. We read every comment. Subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode, and we'll catch you then. Thanks for listening to Healthy Lifestyle Podcast. You can find full show notes and sources at healthylifestylepodcast.com. Take care of yourselves and get some rest.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to visit our sponsor, Telehealth FX, your source for online GLP-1 weight loss and testosterone replacement therapy services. Go to telehealthfx.com to get medically guided access to weight loss peptides like semaglutide and tirzepatide delivered right to your home. That's TelehealthFX.com. See you next time.